Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another Alkebulan Awakening Series in collaboration with Kumbukeni. My name, as always, as you all know, is Oladile Dosunmu. I'm the founder of the Emerging Alkebulan. And you guys, you know what we do on this platform. We're about decolonizing our minds and awakening our consciousness. Guys, today, anyway, I'm not going to say that I've got the guest there. We're going to go into the topic, but welcome. Unduku.
Habari gani, karibuni na asanteni kwa kuwa nasi. I say this so often, but every time I say this often, you should know people say no, please translate, they're new people. That is hello, what's the news, habari gani, welcome, and thank you for being with us. That is Kiubuntu, otherwise known as Kiswahili. I look forward to this conversation.
Okay, now we'll let our guest introduce himself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Babajide Ojejinmi.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Babajide Ojejinmi. A self-styled data economist. I love data. Been working, with data, for many years now. Started out, in telecoms. I now consult within the data space. Spent a lot of time within the healthcare sector, working with NHS healthcare data, specifically, doing data metrics for government measures, around performance around healthcare data, A&E measure, accident and emergency measures, outpatient attendances, cancer metrics and all. And I'm also currently running an entrepreneurial project, aiming to digitize the entire receipting space as well. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you. Guys, this topic, we say Nigeria, but it's not specifically Nigeria because the same measures are being used all over the continent right now. As you can see there on the topic, it says, should tax reform justify digital tax surveillance? So our guest is going to basically go through the presentation with us. And then if you have any questions, anything that you have in mind after the presentation, please do not, don't hesitate. Please share in the comment section. Okay, Babajide, if you want to go through yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, next slide, please. The next slide.
Next slide,
yeah.
That's 3.
That's the second slide.
You want the second slide, okay. You got it?
Yep, that's it.
Can you see it?
I can see it, yes. So, the tax reform if you visit the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee website, it basically gives you their statement of purpose, what they're aiming to do, i.e. the harmonization of multiple taxes and levies at all levels of government, the unification of revenue collection functions into a single agency per level of government, modernization and simplification of the tax system, including the use of technology, for revenue administration, which is one of the things that we're going to be touching on this evening. Leveraging on data for intelligence to curb evasion and aggressive tax avoidance. I wonder, which sector of the population is actually avoiding tax at this rate. Removal of tax provisions which serve as impediments to business and economic growth. Devise structures and frameworks to institutionalize reforms for effective policy coordination, improve efficiency of revenue collection and transparent reporting, ensure effective utilization of tax and other revenues for social good to boost citizens' tax morale, promote tax culture, and drive voluntary compliance. And the actual aim is to, by 2026, hit a target of 18% tax to GDP ratio in 2026. Now, I see Nduku shaking her head. I mean, that is a massive.
Is that possible?
It's not possible. I can tell you that for free right now, it is not possible. They cannot hit that 18% tax to ratio target. Let's move to the next slide, please.
But you know what? Quickly, yes. I don't know if you want us. Do you want us to interrupt or ask you questions after the presentation?
Well, you can ask me. Let's interact. And okay. if anything I'm going to say is going to be in one of the slides that will be coming up, then I can always, defer.
Interact.
So
Okay.
slide three.
So,
Slide three.
yeah, and that way it will keep you on like it's current. And Oladele, go back to that previous slide. Yeah.
Yes.
So because we say these numbers and not everyone understands what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about what GDP, like what does it mean 18% tax to GDP? What does it mean tax to GDP ratio?
Okay, so
Good question.
In a nutshell, what it means is 18% of the total gross domestic product for that country, or for Nigeria in this case, on an annualized basis. That figure is reported every year. So say, for instance, Nigeria generates a 100 billion in 2025. So that means they will be targeting 18% of that, okay, which would equate to, I think that's about $180 million. Okay, that's going to be what they'll be expecting to raise in taxes for the country in that year. So that's what it means. And I have some very, very interesting slides coming up that would help you understand why that is not going to be possible.
And I'm looking forward to them because when you say, so for example, GDP,
Yes.
here's the messed up thing about GDP, and this is why we should stop using European ways of measuring our economics or our way of being at all, right?
Yes. Yes.
Dangote by himself, the money he makes could determine the GDP of Nigeria. Just Dangote by himself. Everyone could be suffering and poor, but Dangote's billions could determine the GDP of Nigeria. And then the taxation, but the taxation is on everyone, not just Dangote.
Yes, but you see in the I love the questions you're asking, because I've sort of preempted those questions in my slides, and you'd get more insight as we go along. So
I will sit back and wait. Yes, let's do this later.
So let's run through the next slide, please. So who are the Nigerian Tax Committee's partners? So this is the interesting one that, this is a slide that I think everyone's going to find interesting. Okay, and this is boldly on the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee website. You can see the source in there. You can see World Bank in there. You can see the International Monetary Fund, United Nations, Budget, Tax Justice and Governance Platform. I mean, I know who Budget is. I think Tax Justice and Governance Platform is probably an NGO that
it's
works
an NGO
as well. Yeah,
I know.
But you can begin to see why the Nigerian government is probably, or has probably decided to go in this direction. You can see the pressures from international organizations to try and bring in or to try and encourage Nigeria to become tax compliant. And we all know why they push for that, and I think I'll rest my opinions for now.
Okay.
When we go through the other slides, maybe I'd shed more light on that.
Okay,
now,
next one.
So the next one, is a tax reform necessary now? Now, I don't think it is. Okay. Because the country, as far as I can see, and as far as many of us can see, I don't think it's necessary now. Nigeria, as you'll see later on in the slides, whether it's 3%, whether it's 10%, whether it's even 20%, as it currently stands, the statistics tells us that Nigeria is 3% formal sector, 97% informal. Do you know what that means? The informal sector comprises the bread sellers, the hawkers on the streets, the vulcanizers, the roadside mechanics, you name them. The list is endless. How do you intend to, within the next few months, just tie their legs and drag them into the tax net? It's impossible. So some of my recommendations are, if they're going to do a tax reform at all, it should be phased. Okay, you've got government workers, federal government workers, you've got state government workers. Start there. Clean up the system, clean out the inefficiencies, then start to roll it out. But it's not something you can roll out in a few months or even a year. These are people's lives we're talking about, especially as it also then connects into your banking or into the banking system. Okay, so let's move to the next slide, please. Okay, so now this is the very interesting bit. Now, what I did on this exercise was that I carried out an estimate of the inefficiencies within the Nigerian system. Okay, the aggregate inefficiencies that have a negative impact on the economy. Okay, the fact that there's no light, there's no water, the fiscal inefficiencies, lack of regulations. You go to the council, you want to apply for something to do with your business. The guy is it's taking days. Something that should take hours is taking weeks. You can't start your business. All those inefficiencies, right? I've listed some of them in there. You've got infrastructure deficiencies, fiscal and tax inefficiencies, industry and energy constraints, governance and institutional weaknesses, overregulation, bureaucratic bottlenecks like I've just described, data and digital gaps, low broadband penetration, access to technology, human capital and social challenges, environmental and structural barriers, tax loss to multinationals. That one, I deliberately didn't put a figure next to it. Yep. Nduku, I know we're on the same page on that one. Tax loss to multinationals, the Naira devaluation element of this whole economy, then capital flight. I deliberately did not put any figures against that. But let's go back, to that list and look at the figures I put against infrastructure deficiencies, for instance. 6 to 8% of GDP, as a percentage of GDP, right? That means the fact that you're not getting these facilities is a drag on your GDP, and it's an 8% drag on your GDP. You get it? Yeah? For fiscal and tax efficiencies, a 2 to 3% drag on your economy, and so on and so forth for all the other points. Yeah, overregulation, 4 to 5%. Data and digital gaps, 1.5 to 2%. Now, I think that's actually more, considering that in Nigeria the broadband infrastructure penetration is very, very low. I know there's a lot of companies trying to deliver rural broadband and all. It still has, the delivery is still not, how would I put it? Is, I'd say, about 10 to 15% across the country. So when you look at that figure holistically, that 1.5 to 2% should be maybe about 5 to 10%. But like I said, it's an estimate. I just need to get a figure at the end of this that will show you that mathematically, a tax reform is not good for the moment. Okay? Now, when we estimate this total annual loss to inefficiencies, can we see the figures there? Yeah, the percentage is between 23 and 30% of GDP. 23 to 30% of GDP. That's the drag. All these, so the fact that you travel into the country, you get to the airport, as you're trying to pack your bags, light goes off. That adds 10, 20, 30 minutes to your time. By the time you get out, you can't find a cab. By the time you get home, there's no light. You can't pump water. All those inefficiencies is what I've sort of put a value to here. And that value in monetary terms, 2023 figures, amounts to between 64 and 83 trillion naira.
Wow.
64
Wow.
to
Wow.
83 trillion naira.
Wow.
Okay, and you will see from the next slides how I arrived at those figures. Okay, now total estimated annual loss to inefficiencies versus the total tax to GDP ratio by 2026. Now, as of 2024, yeah, the registered recorded GDP for Nigeria is $188 billion. You can see it there, 2024. That equates to, at the exchange rate of 1479 for 2024, that equates to 278 trillion naira. Okay? Now, the GDP per capita, that's the amount that every Nigerian of the 224 million population would earn if you spread that GDP across the population, fell, yeah, from 1,621 in 2023, you can see it there in the corner, to $839 in 2024. And these are the people you want to tax.
It doesn't make no sense.
These are the people you want to tax. You understand? So
Yeah.
they taking that loss again. So we've got the loss to inefficiencies of 23 to 30%, which gives you a figure of 64 to 83 trillion naira lost to inefficiencies. Then what did I do next? I took that 18% and applied it to the 2024 GDP figures. Yeah?
Yeah.
That gave me a figure of 50 trillion naira that they are hoping to raise from this new tax reform. Okay? Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so taking that, we then go to the big boxes below the measures at the top there, and we can see tax raised less inefficiencies in naira at 2024 figures at 10%. So I have now assumed that pre this tax reform, the tax to GDP ratio, I think the average tax to GDP ratio for Nigeria was about 10%. Okay. So as of 2024, the assumption is that we would have raised, or the inefficiencies rather, would have amounted to 55 trillion naira. Okay. You can see it's a negative figure there, and all these boxes are in red, which means this 55 trillion that you see there is having a negative impact on the economy as of 2024. So that's with a 10% tax to GDP ratio. Yeah. Then we move to, also remember that the 2024 figures for the dollar equivalent, yeah, of that 55 trillion is what? $37 billion. Okay. Now, if we then look at the 18% tax to GDP ratio, even though the inefficiencies seem to be less in the amount lost to inefficiencies of minus 33 trillion, yeah, which equates to 22 billion, there is still this drag on the economy. So until you remove this drag on the economy, the tax reform is pointless. That's what this tells you.
Yeah. Because everything's negative.
It's negative.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this slide, right, all I want you to all I wanted to show the viewers here is the total budget for Nigeria for 2025 is what? 54.99 trillion. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
54.99 trillion. Yeah. Now, if you go back to the previous slide, what's the drag on the economy? Minus 33 trillion. Wow. That's the drag on the economy. So before you even start, you're at
we're in deficit. We're in deficit already.
Yes, already.
Wow.
Okay. Now remember, I have not added the drag from the Naira devaluation. Yeah. I've not added the loss to or the tax we're not collecting from, some of the multinationals who are selling us stuff from abroad. Yeah, who are selling Nigerian stuff from abroad. And so many other, inefficiencies haven't been added. And the Nigerian economy has a lot of inefficiencies. I mean, from police to I didn't even add in insecurity. I'm sure if you add insecurity into that, I mean, you're looking at an inefficiency loss of about 100 trillion.
Wow.
Trust me, because when you add that in, you now have to take into account the total amount lost from agriculture, because a lot of people can't go to the farms. A lot of produce is not coming to the markets. Easily 100 trillion naira.
You know what, bro? I'm just hoping that Taiwo Oyedele is watching this. Taiwo Oyedele, I hope you're watching.
Send it to him if you have his contact.
Well,
we've got his contact. We tagged him. We just hope he's watching. He might not say nothing, but please watch this.
Because I mean, a lot of us, do a lot of this passionate work, in private, and we can see what's wrong with the system, which is why I'm here today. There's a lot of issues wrong with the system. And like you've said, I've always proposed that we need, and it's in my slide as well, we need a customized, bespoke system for Africa and Nigeria. I call it
absolutely.
I call it the Nigerian economic system or the African economic system. We need that.
My brother, I'll say Ubuntu economics. Ubuntu economics.
Yes. I mean, we need it. We need to sit down and say, okay, what can work for Africa? Okay, yes, we like what we see in the West. I remember watching a documentary many years ago about Emperor, I think it was Emperor Hirohito, when he became Emperor of Japan. He made a trip to Europe. I think it was one of the first trips. And he was so fascinated by what he saw that when he got back to his country, he decided to implement a lot of the things that he saw. And most of what you see in Japan today, including the suits and the fashion that, I'm sure you know that they're very, very endeared to Western fashion, can be attributed to him. But it still did not detach them from, you may call it Abenomics or Japanomics or whatever. They are still embedded in their systems. And that's what I think we need to do. Not for us to keep on saying, oh yeah, because it happens, in the US, it happens in the UK. But do you actually know how the UK got to that point? Okay, there's something I always say. Adam Smith's economics, right, does not apply to us. It doesn't apply to us.
Never.
Yeah? But do you know why? Do you know why? I mean, do you know my own? Do you want to hear my own?
Go on. That's why we're here.
So, Adam Smith wrote his theories, right, many years ago. But when he wrote those theories, what was actually going on then in the world? I can hear you. So,
the enslavement of our people.
Exactly. So how can someone write an economics theory? So, okay, this is it, right? So I have a neighbor. I go to my neighbor and say, your garden is now mine, right? I'm going to start farming oranges in there, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. You take it or leave it. So I farm the oranges, take the oranges, go and sell, dictate the price, and I'm carrying on. Then some guy sitting somewhere then writes some theory on economics of how I'm performing, right? Oh, supply and demand, and all the various theories that get written. Yeah. How does that make sense? You're getting stuff for free, in the background, you're selling it on, and somebody is writing a thesis about, how successful you are. Come on, you're successful because you're getting your stuff for,
And
close
yeah,
to
to
nothing.
nothing. Yep.
So, I've always said it openly, with my interactions, online, that Adam Smith economics is not for us. And I can see that some people these days are beginning to agree with that, because Nigeria has been independent since 1960. We've been practicing Adam Smith's economics ever since. But look at where Nigeria is. I mean, look at the GDP of Nigeria as of 2024. In the next slide, you will see 188 billion, right? And that's, from someone saying, or from the president of Nigeria saying, oh yeah, we want to implement these, reforms that, come from the IMF or World Bank or wherever, so that we can move forward. I mean, you've gone from 2014, 574 billion to 188 billion. Please, let's go to the next slide, because there's a lot to talk about there. So, so once again, where will the tax come from? 3% formal employment, 97% informal employment. And you can see, how hard the task is going to be for the Tax Reform Committee. Let's move to the next one. Okay, what do the numbers say? Yeah. Now, this is an extract from my dashboard. Anyone that wants to go and visit the dashboard can see the link at the bottom of the screen there. It's macro.dataconomist.com. And this shows us it's only up to 2023, because I'm still compiling the 2024 data. But you can see there that since 1960, Nigeria has generated a total of $10.26 trillion, which equates to about 1,900 trillion in Naira. Yeah. And in 2023, we had a GDP of 362.81 billion. Yeah. With a GDP per capita, if you expand that screen, please, again.
Yeah, expand it.
Yeah, you can see the GDP per capita in 2023 of $1,621. Now, if we go back up, please, to the previous slides. So that's one more. Up. Yeah, so here you can see with a GDP of 188 billion in 2024, yeah, the GDP per capita is now $839.
Wow.
So the country is in for a very, very, very tough time. Very, very tough.
I'm glad you did that. I am glad you did that. That shows the bullshit in GDP. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you. I'm watching this and I'm saying people are in for a long, rocky,
long haul. I mean, there's something. I think it was the culture minister a few months ago. She went public with, saying things like, "Oh yeah, we aim to hit $1 trillion GDP." I'm like, really? $1 trillion GDP? How? It's not possible. Matthew, I mean, I've been working on this data for so many years anyway. I had the data in front of me. So the moment she said it, I just knew it was impossible. I felt like jumping into the screen to tell her that, look, this thing is not possible. No matter what you do, it's not possible, because the one thing that is a constant in the Nigerian and African dynamic is the devaluation of our currency.
And
the floating of the currency that happened under President Tinubu, was one of the riskiest things to have done. And you'll see why in further slides when we get to it. So let's move on. Let's move on quickly. I think we'll be going back and forth through the slides. Yeah.
No
so
worries.
another thing, don't please go back to the last slide. I just want to touch on something else there on the previous slide. Yeah. So now, if we look at Nigeria's GDP in 2023, was 362 billion. So let's say 363 billion. Then, if we go to the bottom of that screen, you can see the GDP of Africa at 2.91 trillion. Yeah. 2.91 trillion. Then the GDP of Europe is 23.4 trillion. Look at that disparity. Look at that disparity. But anyway, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, what do the numbers say? Okay, so if we look at this chart, it's GDP versus the exchange rate on a year-on-year basis, right? If you look at 2014, in 2014, under President Jonathan, we hit a peak GDP of 574 billion. Yeah. And since that period, we've dropped. So if you just to put things into perspective, we've dropped below 200. Graphically, look back and see where we are. We're now at 1981 and 1996 levels.
Wow.
And you now want to tax people on top of where we are, economically. It's not going to work. It's going to exacerbate the situation. It's going to make things worse, to put it simply. Yeah. Let's move to the next slide. Now, GDP per capita, for Nigeria, you can see how it's fluctuated over the years. Now, the cutoff point for this as well is 2023 at 1,621. Like I said, I haven't updated this with the latest data, but you can see that the 839 would be at 2004 levels.
Wow.
2004 levels. Let's go to the next slide. Now, I put this in just so we can do a comparison between where Nigeria was in 2023, as against many other countries that we always like to talk about.
To compare.
Oh, we want to be like, why can't we be like China? Okay, let's look at where China is. Look at the GDP per capita for China. It's $12,000, or $13,000. We always talk about Singapore. Singapore is $84,000.
Yeah. We like comparing it to Singapore so much. That irritates me.
Oh, no. It more than irritates me, because what Lee Kuan Yew did, I don't think any African leader is yet brave enough to do it.
Not just that, the US opened up their markets to Singapore. People need to shut up, and to China, please.
Yeah. And the one other thing that I think Lee Kuan Yew did, which he was very, 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 much in support of, way before he became a leader, was the actual decolonization of the systems. Okay, he decolonized the systems. Yeah, that's a very, very good one. He decolonized the systems, and he made sure, because I know he chose English as the language of choice, right, to move the country forward. That worked. But imagine that you choose English as your language of choice, but the system works, right? And that's how.
But don't forget that they gave me a leg up as well for the system to work. It was in cahoots with them.
Oh yes, they were in cahoots with him. And remember, I mean, some people say he had the role almost of a dictator because he was there for so many years. You know, so his strategy, or should I say, the strategy that was adopted with the people around him worked, and that's why Singapore is where it is today. But there's another secret. But when we get to that slide, so let's move on. Let's see if it's So this is that slide. So now, if we do a comparative analysis, so let's take Singapore. So Singapore has a population of 6 million as of 2023, right? Nigeria is 224 million. Yeah. Okay, that 188 billion, my error there. It's the 2024 figure. Yeah. The Singapore figure is the 2023 figure, 501 billion. So you can see the difference. But what I want you to focus on this page is the exchange rate.
Wow. See that. See the exchange rate there. Nigeria 1.479.
Yep.
And Singapore 1.34.
1.34. Now, UAE is what? 3.67. Qatar. Yeah. Oh, that's an error there. Qatar, sorry, that's an error. So everybody has to excuse me on that one. Qatar is actually 3.64.
So similar to UAE, because they're
so,
side by side, yeah.
Yes, 3.64. And Saudi Arabia is 3.75.
75, yeah.
So there is something that these countries must have known or must have realized earlier on, that they decided to manage their currencies effectively. And I know for a fact that the Singapore Monetary Authority, the Singapore Monetary Authority, if you go to their website, they will tell you that, unfortunately, they can't tell you what they're doing. It's a secret. And that's what we need to learn. Okay? Those are some of the things.
Okay, can I ask the question, my brother?
Yes.
Because before it goes, so how have they managed to peg their currency so low?
So
while other African countries.
So what
it's the secret, but there must be something out there. There must be something out there, because you look at the disparity.
So there's nothing out there, and I'll tell you why there's nothing out there. So I've looked for information around this on the website itself. So what they do is they take their currency each year or each period, whatever period they choose, and they put it against a basket of currencies. Now that's on their website. Okay, what they do in doing that, we don't know. Okay, they're statisticians. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Can I offer my humble, limitedly informed opinion on this?
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
These are all nations providing oil for the US.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Part of this is being able to squeeze literally.
We lost you there, sis.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to say what you're saying. Yeah, I think we lost her there.
Oh, that is a shame.
So, my thoughts, but when she was saying that, I was going to say, so that basically means that there is some kind of manipulation going on there.
Yes, there is.
Which basically, and to me, that's corruption in the system.
Well, not necessarily. No. I don't think it's corruption. I don't think it's corruption at all. I think it's good fiscal management. Okay, she's back. Let her. So can you?
Sorry.
Yeah.
This internet business. So part of this is having leverage, right? Yes. Part of this is being able to say to literally have your hand on the one ball of the US.
Yes.
You don't need both of them, just one. Yeah. And yes, excuse the crass language. Sometimes it's necessary for this ridiculousness that is going on, so that you can squeeze it every time the US thinks they can do a number on you.
Yeah.
And give them some pain.
Yes.
So, for example, Saudi Arabia will say when the US is trying to pull its muscle, you're not going to have access to oil.
Yeah.
And the US will back up and be like, okay, you can have your, like the little give, like exchange rate might not be such a pain point for the US. Okay, your currency can be valued at this amount, because it's also going to help them in business if they're getting oil from them. Like, we don't have, or at least we do not take advantage of the leverage we have. We actually have more leverage than all these people. Go on, brother.
And that's, so just to cap off what you've said, we have more leverage than all these other people, right? But I'm still trying to define how to describe it. It's almost like we don't know how to value what we have. So, and the simplest way of me trying to define this is, if you call an African artisan, Nigeria, Kenya, wherever, maybe it's a mechanic or whatever, you call them and say, okay, I want to employ you, right? I want to hire you to do something for me at home. It's going to take about 8 hours. Okay, how much are you going to charge me per hour? They can't answer that question. So it's the same way that you have gold in the ground, right? Or some resource in the ground, right? Valuable resource that somebody else needs, but we can't value it.
Part of that problem, that is a problem, you're right. But part of that problem is because we don't see value in ourselves.
That is what
we've been told we don't have value.
Yeah, so taking it, I agree with you. So taking it up to that level, we don't know how to value ourselves. Because if we valued ourselves, right, that means we can value the land. So in the data, in my data, for instance, okay, I've done a bit of analysis around the arable land across the world. Okay? And I'm saying to myself, African arable land, right? There's no snow. There's nothing. I take an orange, I put it on just spit it out, orange seed, spit it out, come back in 2 weeks' time, it's growing. How much value do you put on that? We don't know. Yeah. Yet, the same size of land in the US will probably be going for what, $300,000 or whatever. I'm saying maybe one plot for, X value, but it has a value. At the moment, we're still struggling with those things. I mean, there's this banter going on online about houses in the posh parts of Nigeria, Lekki, and all those places. Some people pricing them for $500,000. Meanwhile, the house in California is a lot better than the house they're advertising in Nigeria. Still boils down to what? Value. We think by just building a house in a particular area, it should be worth the same as it is in the posh parts of London or somewhere. No, it doesn't work like that. And that's why I say we need our own African economic system, or Nigerian economic system, or the Ubuntu system that helps us value what we have. Do you know that as we speak, there are people who have valued and are continuing to value our forests?
Yes.
You know that.
Foreigners.
That's what I'm saying.
In the name of preservation. Reservations.
Yet we don't know how to do that. We don't have experts who do that. I'm sure some people will beg to differ with what I've just said, but yeah.
Quickly on this point, right? And I do appreciate, like, we are being organic with this. We can ask, we can wait, we can. Yes. I'm glad we are being organic with this. Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that whole idea of valuing things like they're valued in the US, in Europe, and all that, because it is a huge pain point on our people. And a lot of the diaspora going back home are going and building and innovating and starting stuff and charging it for value that our people cannot afford.
Yes.
And you're destroying lives.
Yes.
When I see, and I'm glad today, I was like, I have a bone to pick with a certain entity. I'm not going to do it just because I have a bone to pick with them. I will wait, because this is a perfect conversation to bring them in. I will wait until my brother guides us to a place where we can. Earn your leisure is the entity. Earn your leisure. I will say again, look them up. Earn your leisure. They are Americans two brothers, American brothers, going to Africa, building real estate and charging at ridiculous amounts.
Yeah.
And I have said to certain people in our community, I do not like what Earn Your Leisure is doing in Africa. And I will say it again, and you can judge me all day the way you want. My concern is my people, the people who are suffering, not you elites who are making money. My concern is my mother. My concern is my brother who doesn't have a job, and the fellow Kenyans who are on the streets protesting because they are being overtaxed, they don't have jobs, and the price of groceries in Kenya is more expensive than it is in the US, believe that or not.
Yeah.
And they're earning at least 4 times less than the
Yes.
people in the US are earning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So ask me why, as a responsible Mwana Ubuntu who's revolutionary, I will not point a finger at Earn Your Leisure.
Yeah.
And then when they do that, the market of real estate goes up.
Price goes up, yeah.
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 Yeah, I think because they're coming in with a European American mindset, and they're making things so out of reach for the locals. And how do you think the locals are going to feel when you come in? And this is one of the reasons why they want to run away, because they want to be like you, to come back with that kind of money to be able to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which consequently puts the locals basically, they push them out of they can't afford anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and it pains me every time I see it. I mean, there's a gentleman in Nigeria who took this case up. Started posting, overpriced properties, etc. And it's caught on. Now everybody's doing it because everybody has realized that yes, some of these properties are overpriced, right?
Oh, they are.
Sorry.
They are overpriced. I agree with you.
They are overpriced, and the other thing that started happening, or the other observation I made, obviously this has been happening over the years. Anytime the exchange rate changes, I'm not sure if it's the same thing in Kenya. Anytime the exchange rate changes or it goes up in Nigeria, it impacts everything else. I mean, even the yam seller or the tomato seller will tell you, "Oh, dollar has gone up." I'm like,
dollar.
What's dollar got to do?
I heard that. And
guess what it has to do? Oh, this is the other. Today I'm going to be using special words to describe. This is the other fuckery of it all.
Yes.
What it has to do with it is if you go to any hotel in Kenya, you're charged by the dollar.
Okay, so that's where I was going. So the dollarization of our economy. Now, if you want to dollarize the economy, why don't you do it properly? Okay, so what you need to do is, your currency they're devaluing your currency, right? So it's 1-to-1. So as it's moving up, then you price everything accordingly. Then we know it works. Do you understand?
Babajide,
yes.
No dollarizing.
Oh, of course. I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, right? Now, I'm totally against dollarization. It's a criminal offense in the UK. It's a criminal offense in the US. If I went to the US, opened a shop, and priced all my goods in naira for people to come and buy, the standards organization would shut me down straight away. Meanwhile, in Nigeria or some of these other African countries, including Ghana, I read something about
Ghana does it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, how can you do that? You're damaging your economy. I mean, this is not that, I'm against the US or I'm against the UK. No, it's not that. You have to protect your financial sovereignty. You have to protect it. Otherwise, you erode your currency. And that's what's happening in Nigeria. I know the EFCC in Nigeria tried to, come out with some level of enforcement a few months ago. I don't know how much traction that has gained. But yeah, I mean, the de-dollarization of the African economies in particular must be paramount to a successful economic system. Okay, so the number one thing is you remove the inefficiencies, the 100 trillion naira inefficiencies from the system. Once that once the ratio of inefficiencies to tax ratio, once that figure tends to 1, then you can say, oh yeah, we're going to start taxing you. But whilst it's still very high, there's no point because the tax you raise will be wiped out by inefficiencies.
Okay. Move on to the next slide, yeah?
Go to the next slide.
Wait, you know what, brother? You didn't include in inefficiencies?
Tell me.
And I look forward to when you included the
Tell me.
updated version.
Yeah.
Repaying the debt.
Yes. That was deliberate too.
And that's a huge one.
Debt repayment. Yeah. So okay. So if you include, look, if I put that in there, it will be too scary.
We'll talk about it at the end, but we have to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. So now digital tax.
You're muted, Undugu. You're muted.
I said it's the reality of how we are being underdeveloped. Scare them so that they can do something.
Yeah, we do that. We need to do that at the end.
Reality.
Yes. So digital tax surveillance. I've defined it here. So it refers to the use of digital technologies and data tracking systems by our tax authorities to monitor, collect, analyze, or access financial and transactional data of individuals and businesses for the purpose of tax assessment, compliance, and enforcement. In simple terms, it means the government's ability to see into their citizens' digital and financial lives through their bank records, mobile payments, e-commerce activity, and even metadata from financial platforms in order to detect undeclared income or prevent tax evasion.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Let's move to the next slide. I'm not sure if we can play that next slide. Can you play it at all? Does it give you the option to play?
Give me a second. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Oh, I was hoping that we could play, because it would be nice.
I'll look for it. Let me look for it.
Unless you want me to play it and share the screen here, then we can come back to the slide.
Do you have it separate from the attachment?
Yes, I have it separate.
Yes,
from
please.
The attachment.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll share my screen. So let me just get it up first. Sorry.
Oladile, you might need to take down the presentation.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Just briefly. Okay, so cancel, so share.
So while Brother Babajide does that, and I'm inviting Kenyans, I've been inviting you on Twitter to come and join this conversation, because this is what was happening in Kenya last year and this year. And this is a problem all over Africa. Like, we need to all be seeing this as a problem we need to come and learn about and then do something about.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, play it.
Yep. Oops.
Can you play it?
Sorry, 1 second. Nope. Just bear with me a second, please.
Multiple times what we connect now. But beyond that,
please turn it up and restart, and then
there are people today.
Yeah, all the way up.
Yeah.
Then let me see real quick whether you have a choice to increase the screen. I think we may have that.
Okay.
No, there.
Yeah.
Please.
Better?
Please.
Yeah, go on.
Multiple times what we connect now. But beyond that, there are also critical areas where money will come from. Number one is tax evasion. There are people today who are doing what you're doing. They're not, maybe they're even earning more than you, and they're not paying the taxes you're paying. That is not fair, and we shouldn't allow that to continue. That will stop. The system will not allow that. It will not allow that. As long as you are captured, you must pay taxes. You have banking. You have NIN, you have bank information, you have phone number. Even this phone number you are looking at, you can have excellent data. This gives me. You travel abroad, we have the data. You buy land, we have the data. You buy a car or even bicycle or motorcycle. You build a house, you're going to connect your electricity. We have the data. Yeah. You open an investment account, pension account, stockbroking account. We want you to do your activities, but government will track those activities. So that when you refuse to report your income correctly, we will find out. We want to get to a point where we'll not come to you and say, Sheon, how much did you earn in 2025? No, we'll tell you how much you've earned. It is for you to either disprove or approve. So that system is important. Every country where you see development, this is how they build their society. So are we able to digitize the process? Yes, so that's exactly what we need. That's exactly what we do. So all digitize everything. Name now. From FRS to NRS, Nigeria Revenue Service. And that Nigeria Revenue Service will then work in collaboration with subnationals. So if you live and work in Ekiti State, for example, you can't go and tell them that actually, by the way, I'm resident in the FCT when you are not resident here. That lie happens every single day in Nigeria today. We'll find out that system will tell us where you're resident. You know that if you move around, your phone can actually tell me where you were yesterday, right? So that data will help us to ensure that, one, we know who is truly poor and protect them and exempt them completely from paying taxes.
So this is a poor man protection policy.
It's a pro-poor,
okay,
pro-business, and pro-growth and equity and fairness.
So where
It's actually anti, not pro.
It's anti. That's it. It's anti. So see. So you can share the screen. Share the slides again. So you can see that in his own words, he doesn't actually realize that what he's describing there is digital tax surveillance, and nobody has pulled him up on it.
And that's basically what we're trying to fight against in the UK at the moment.
At the moment, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it's not like I'm not indicting any of our politicians here, right? But what this means, if I can put it out there, is that from 1st of January, all our agbada wearing senators, that wire money willy-nilly to each other or to girlfriends and you name it, they're gonna be
exposed. Yeah.
You understand? So I mean, are they going to really allow that? They're going to be monitored. I mean, yes, some people may come to me and say, oh yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. We're not going to monitor. But you've just described it. I'm going by what you've said. If you're going to do exactly what you said, you say you can use my mobile to track where I've traveled to. I mean, that's an invasion of my privacy. I buy stocks. That's an invasion of my privacy. Do you understand? You can, in the UK, you only have access to the granular level of data if I've committed an offense. Yeah, you go to the police and a warrant is issued. Your phone is seized, and they use a warrant to access that phone. Now, in the 3 laws that I've looked at, the tax bill, the Nigerian Tax Administration Act 2025, and the Nigerian Data Protection Act, guess what? The Nigerian Tax Administration Act supersedes now the Nigerian Data Protection Act. It has more power, to put it simply. The NTAA 2025 has more power than the Data Protection Act.
Wow. And this is what they did with the GMO seeds as well, where the organizations controlling the seeds now supersede the other organization with Madagascar.
The local organization. I mean, how can that be?
So to point something out, right? Yeah. Imagine the African who says, me, I don't bother myself with farming things. I'm not a farmer. Yeah. Okay. And then the African who says, me, I don't bother myself with political things. I'm not a politician.
Yes.
I don't bother myself with money things. I'm not an economist, but it's all related. And it's all making you not have dinner on the table.
Yes. Yes. All linked. So one way or another, it is going to touch you or your children in the future. That's the truth. Wow. And one very, very alarming and startling thing that is playing out in Nigeria and Africa right now, I don't know whether I should say this, but I'll say it anyway. Yeah, is the fact that majority of all the things that we do in Africa, majority, has a Western element to it. Hear me out. Hear me out.
You're right.
So it takes me back to the military days of Abacha. Okay, Abacha, the military regime. During that period, there's a report called the CIA report. It's still out there. They still do it. They write reports on each country, okay, to say, oh yeah, it's safe to go to that country. It's not safe. So up until even up until the early 2000s, Nigeria was a no-go country on the CIA fact file. Right? So what am I saying? What was the impact on my generation in particular in that period? Do you want to know? Now, coincidentally, in the last quarter of the 90s, Yeah, between 1995 and 2000. That was when the internet was booming. Right? Myself and so many other Nigerians, I'm sure, across the world, because I met them in Nigeria when I landed in Nigeria in 1999, right? Wanted to go and do great things for the country. Now, I spoke to Microsoft specifically. I spoke to a company called PeopleSoft at the time. Then there was another company, basically to try and partner with them to do stuff in Nigeria. But guess what? They referred to that fact file that they couldn't do business in Nigeria.
Imagine that.
So what am I saying? So all it takes is for Donald Trump to do what he did recently, and all the associations in Nigeria would just collapse.
I am so glad you brought this up, because those of us who are short-sighted are just worried about, oh, we have been put on the list of. We don't understand what the financial impact is.
And that's where I come in. That's what I do.
Thank you.
That is what I do. You understand? You know, they've done the tax reform. They've not done well. They may have it behind the scenes. Who knows? But you haven't provided it publicly. I've done my figures public, and I'm putting it out there that from the figures that I've shown, there is going to be a minimum of, I mean, by the time we add all the things we've talked about, a 100 trillion naira deficit. And I'll wait for anyone to come and, sort of question that at some point in the future. I'll back it up. I mean, the evidence is, I've just provided the evidence anyway. And that's why I said to myself, I said to you guys rather, that I will not add all these other bits, because by the time you add all these other bits, it's just going to take that figure out of reach and just make the whole tax proposal look like, a bad mistake. Yeah, a bad mistake. But anyway, let's move to the next slide. So the Nigerian Tax Administration Act 2025, it introduces broad surveillance powers for tax enforcement. It allows government to access bank, mobile, and digital data without court oversight. Unlike the US, IRS or UK HMRC, Nigeria's framework removes checks and balances and risks eroding financial privacy. Technology generates data, but that does not grant unrestricted access. Convenience is not consent. Just like he was describing in the video now. Oh, because you have the data, because you can access the data, or the data is there, doesn't mean you can access it. I have not given you my consent to access it.
You know what, bro? Just saying what you're saying. I just hope the politicians are listening to this, because they're going to be there. It's going to be wide open.
The politicians right now, right? I mean, they're the ones I use as an example.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be.
They're going to be screwed.
Easy,
exposed.
Easy. Yes. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to touch every one of us. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But this kind of intrusion, right, should not be allowed.
No.
It shouldn't be allowed. I mean, the way Taiwo Oyedele was even talking about it, it's kind of like, so somebody's going to be sat there behind the computer. They'll bring up, Oladele Dosumo. Say, okay, yeah. Oh, he bought a bag of chips yesterday. He went to see a movie the other day. He sent something to his wife. He paid for it. Come on.
But let me ask you,
you live in the UK.
Where's the evidence?
Sorry, Nduku. You live in the UK, and there's a pushback on this, because this is being proposed in the UK as well right now.
Yes.
Nigeria has been used as a guinea pig for that.
No. I don't think it's a case of Nigeria being used as a guinea pig. I now see that there's a coordinated.
Yeah, it's all around the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
As we were preparing for this in the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden, a friend of the family, you will not believe this. I mean, I got the call, and she said to me she just got a letter from the HMRC saying she traveled in 2023. Hear this carefully. She traveled in 2023. But we can't see that you came back into the country. Can you please explain it to us, please?
What?
What? I'm not joking.
Because she probably
So
knew
that just said to me, there's a coordinated attempt to harmonize these tax rules. Yeah. Then I'm going online, just doing my general research. I'm not coming across something about the UN and something about the UN called tax inspectors without borders or something like that. Have you heard about that before?
Oh, by the way, one of the
just put it in the chat.
Sorry?
Somebody put it in the chat.
Oh, somebody just put it in the chat. Wow.
Yeah.
You see?
So speak on it.
Yeah. So what I heard was that most countries that have signed up to this, it's called the CRS, the Common Reporting Standard, are now embedded with the United Nations. And if you remember in one of the first slides that I put up, yeah, the UN was there. So it means that there's a coordinated effort. And Taiwo Oyedele, if I went to watch one of his videos on how the tax reform applies to diasporans, and he said specifically that this common reporting system will definitely be in play with diasporans. So if it's going to be there's going to be almost like a checking situation where the UK is checking. They know I'm a dual citizen of Nigeria, right? So they're checking if I'm doing any business in Nigeria, and Nigeria will vice versa be checking that same system to see if Babajide Ojejinmi is doing any business in the UK and is paying tax in the UK, or you understand?
Yes.
What I'm saying? So
guess how?
Go on.
Guess how bad it is. Like I remember in the groups that I am a member of, the Kenyan groups for diaspora, they'll even be checking how much money we are sending. Like, you know how we send money home?
Yes.
They have access to that information.
Yes, because they don't want you to send more than a specific amount. I mean, in the UK,
no, they want to start taxing it.
Yes. I mean, Donald Trump has already said that if you don't have, I think, U.S. citizenship, you can't remit for any funds. You have to show your passport or your citizenship to be able to send money in the U.S. now.
So here's my question to you all, right?
Yes.
As we continue to listen to our brother, and I am so grateful for you.
Thank you very much.
I am so grateful for you. You started by thanking us, but again, welcome to the front lines.
Thank you.
So you're talking about that the politicians will suffer. So if these people protect themselves from taxation, if they exempt themselves from taxation, why would you think they wouldn't exempt themselves from surveillance?
No, they can't. They can't. Now, if I'm telling you for free now, if the politicians remove themselves from the taxation pool, there's going to be riots in Nigeria. It's not possible. You will
never find out. You will never find out. You'll never find out. That's what happens in the US. So in the US, there's been a push for so long for the top 2% to be taxed. They're not taxed. I mean, we know this is happening on our continent with multinationals and with international organizations. They don't pay tax. So why would you think that these people are not exempting themselves?
Wow. Okay, that's a difficult one. So I think the good side of me is telling me that if the Nigerian government sidelines the three arms of government from this tax reform, then let
me give you the evidence that it's happening, brother. You gave us the evidence.
Yes.
Oladele, I don't know if it's gonna bother you, but go back to the slide that spoke about 97% and 3% from formal employment.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. Coming back.
This one, yeah?
No, that one.
Yeah.
That's the evidence. That right there is the evidence.
Yeah.
This is the evidence that they are not being taxed, at least
Yeah.
not as much as you are being taxed.
Yeah.
Because informal employment is mamamboga. Mamamboga
Yeah.
is the lady sitting on the street selling
Yeah.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Informal employment is juakali. For those of
Yes.
you who've been to Kenya or know Kenyan society, juakali are the people in juakali, a location in Kenya where they make things with their hands.
Yes.
Formal employment is politicians,
Yes.
bankers,
Yes.
finance people.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
not the 3%
Yes.
versus 97%.
Yes. Yes. So
That's the evidence.
yeah, but you see, these 3% are the ones that are seemingly actually captured in the tax net.
The ones
Because
that
there
cannot
isn't-
get away with it.
Sorry?
That's it.
Sorry?
The ones that cannot get
Yes,
away with it.
yes, the ones that cannot get away with it, that's the 3%. Now, you're suggesting that because the politicians fall within that 3%, they may try to avoid being captured in that 3%.
No, I'm not
what you're-
suggesting. I'm saying that the 3% is evidence that they are not being taxed as much as
Much,
the
yeah. Okay, yes, okay, yes. I agree with you 1,000%. Yes, yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. Because if there were,
It'd be higher than
that tax take would be
higher.
increased. Yeah, would be increased. So where was I? Yeah. So this is so the next slide, please. Okay, yeah. So what is the context and motivation? Now, Tawe Dele likes to claim that digital oversight exists in developed countries, right? However, these are false parallels. The US and UK systems are under judicial oversight. Now, our judiciary in Nigeria, as much as I give them their due respect within the system in which they find themselves, right? We don't have scenarios where, for instance, the tax reform committee says there's going to be an ombudsman, even though they don't want to call it ombudsman anymore because it could be a woman as well. So they have an ombud, yeah, that the common man can report to. So imagine this. So let me give you a scenario first, right? I went to I was in Nigeria at one point, right? And I went to use the cash point. The cash point wasn't working across this particular area of Lagos Island. I managed to find one that was working. I put my card in, pushed £10,000 minimum withdrawal. Guess what? The money didn't come out. Yeah. So I took the card and left. This was a weekend. So on Monday, I went to that particular branch. They said, "Oh no, I need to go to the card issuers branch." Right. So the card was issued from another. So I went to that branch and I reported it. This was in I think October last year. Guess what? I still haven't received the money. My own money that I went to withdraw from an ATM, from a bank, a reputable bank in Nigeria, 10,000 naira, I still haven't received the money. So now you are now telling me that a 97 a person who comes from the 90 pool of 97% has an issue. He's going to go to the ombud, speak to them in his language, yeah, and get recourse through the judiciary if it has to get to that point. It's not possible. We see how cases currently move through the court system in Nigeria. It's impossible. And all these things is part of my recommendation. All these things need to be taken care of properly before you even do any tax reform. If you don't have banking reform, judicial reform, there's no point. Because you're going to create problems that can't be solved. So moving on, developed economies, like I've said here, are 99% formalized. That's why tax works. Sorry, the previous, yeah. So 99% formalized. Citizens have strong financial and digital literacy. In Nigeria, only 3% of the economy is formal, while 97% remains informal. Most have no clue what the NTA 2025 entails, which is what I've just alluded to. They have no clue what the Tax Administration Act entails. Yet, you want to bring them into the tax net. Next slide, please. Now, bank account and data surveillance.
Let me give a quick shout out to my fellow Kenyans on that, my brother. And maybe this will inspire Nigerians to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Kenyans, when we were protesting and we were on the streets and dealing with this and organizing, we still are. One thing they did, and I am grateful to my brothers and sisters who are doing this work behind closed doors, not getting popularity and big money from it. They started translating the tax document into the different languages in Kenya for our grandmas and the local, like the people in the villages who don't understand what's going on. And then they started to break it down in more like digestible form. So this is something that we can do. This is something that we can all do. Go on, brother. Like this presentation is essential. I invite you all, and my brother, you can stop me if this is overstepping.
No, go on.
To take this specific presentation by our brother, translate it and break it down to your people.
Yeah. I mean, very well. Let's do that. Because the sensitization of the public is essential. I mean, it's good to have a tax system, right? But I would rather, for instance, Nigeria is a resource-rich country. Let's clean out all the inefficiencies. Let's know how much we're bringing in, right? And let's see if what we're bringing in can buy half of the Nigerian public Lamborghinis. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what we should be. Somebody else should be paying for our existence, not vice versa. Now, if we now see that we've gotten to a point where the amount we're making from the external countries is not enough, then we can start saying, okay, guys, let's start chipping something in. I mean, that's what's happening in Qatar. That's what's happening in UAE. That's what's happening in Saudi Arabia.
That's probably why their GDP is where it is. That's the secret.
Yes, this is why we have the resources we have. It's time for us to benefit from that. Good roads, etc., water facilities, good facilities. Now, once that's done, and we've maxed it, over a period of time, then we can start looking at taxing the population. But for now, I think we need to get the population from 97% to at least 97% informal, or should I say 3% in
flip the numbers
formal, to about at least 60 to 70% formal.
I suggest we just flip the numbers. 3% informal, 97% formal.
Flip the numbers. I mean, that's even better. 97% formal.
But did you suggest? I missed it, and others might have in the midst of it.
Yeah.
Did you suggest that we tax Lamborghini?
No, that's not what we were saying.
No. I said no. The people paying taxes should allow us to buy Lamborghinis for every Nigerian or every African. If we amortize our resources properly. What I'm just trying to say is that we're a resource-rich continent.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
$2.9 trillion does not make sense as GDP for the whole of Africa. That figure is wrong. Yeah, we have DRC. DRC is one of the richest countries on the planet.
It's the richest in Africa.
And the richest country in the world. Yeah, in resource terms. And I can guarantee you, followed by Nigeria. Nigeria is rich. And we need to.
What was the richest country? I'm so sorry. What did you say?
I said
DRC.
DRC, yeah.
You're in agreement.
DRC. Yeah. So once we can take advantage of our resources, then we can begin to move the continent forward positively. So yeah. But anyway, bank account and data surveillance. These are extracts from the NTAA 2025, that's the Tax Administration. Banks must report accounts with transactions above 25 million for individuals and 100 million for corporates monthly. Then tax officers may access cloud and digital data without warrants. Without warrants. Yeah? Section 142 to 143 state confidentiality, but lack enforcement. Yeah? Then the Act institutionalizes warrant-free financial surveillance. That's my summary on that. The next one, please. Yeah, the metadata mirage. So that's part of what Taiwo Idele was referring to, the fact that they have the mobile phone. It's it has a lot of metadata. They can access your location, et cetera, et cetera. That's wrong. It means that you can map my house for me. When I'm in my bedroom. When I'm in the bathroom and all that. No, it's not. It doesn't make sense. So technology and metadata abundance does not equate to state ownership of data. Phones, fintech, and banking apps mirror human life, not tax evasion. So you can't use the fact that you want to stop tax evasion to say, oh yes, it's good for us to get a handle of the metadata on your phone. No, that should not be allowed. Metadata abundance is not moral license. Technology should serve citizens, not legitimize unchecked monitoring. Yeah. Next one, please. Yeah, civil liberties and oversight. So I've already talked about section 142 to 143. They're weak confidentiality clauses. No independent body to audit or sanction misuse. So they've only got the ombudsman to deal with complaints from the users. Now, if there's misuse, how do we deal with that? Who do we go to? Do we go to Nigerian Revenue Service? You understand? Who's going to be the independent arbiter of those problems? Yeah, so claims that developed countries do the same are misleading. Those nations have literacy, oversight, and recourse mechanisms. The Tax Administration Act 2025 risks normalizing financial surveillance under weak governance. Next slide, please. Economic reality. It always brings us back to this, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
97% informal economy. Nigeria's economy is 97% informal and 3% formal. Most Nigerians lack awareness of the tax reform, digital systems, or privacy rights. Imposing advanced digital surveillance on such a system punishes ignorance, not tax evasion. The act is incompatible with Nigeria's socio-economic reality. That's my
I agree, 100%.
The next one, please. Implications for public trust. Trust is the foundation of taxation. Warrant-free access erodes confidence and drives economic activity on the ground. This may actually shrink Nigeria's tax base instead of expanding it, while undermining digital inclusion. Next slide. Now, what is my preferred solution? Nigeria must develop a bespoke, customized economic system best suited to its population. That's my first point. Nigeria is also a resource-rich country, and in an ideal situation, revenue from its resources should be used to cover its expenses, in quote, like Qatar or the UAE. Nigerians shouldn't have to bear that burden. Clear the inefficiencies before the implementation of any tax reforms. This will show that the system is able to cope efficiently with improvements. Banking reform. Increase the privacy and data protection regulations as it pertains to banks. Judiciary reform to accommodate any complaints from the fallout of any violations of the Nigerian Data Protection Act 2019. Then roll out the tax reform in phases as a pilot, first at the federal and state levels. Different sectors of the economy can then be onboarded by design. Got a bit of a typo there. And the next slide, please. And my conclusion, the NTA 2025 is not reform, it is regression. It assumes a 99% formal economy where only 3% exists. Nigerians must be wary of its implementation on the 1st of January 2026. Reform must be inclusive, judicially supervised, and data protected, not surveillance led. I think I've got a last slide there, if I'm correct. Yeah, data must serve democracy, not dominate it. Any
Thank
questions?
you. Thank you.
Any questions?
do we
Well,
start?
whilst we're here, can we just go back to the slide where I have the matrix and just leave that up so everybody can see that as we converse.
Is it that one?
Nope. The one with the red boxes.
Okay.
Other
The
up.
negatives.
The negatives, yes. Yes, that one. Okay, so any questions at all from the public?
Oladile, I have questions.
Yeah, go. I have one question before you go, Nduku.
Go ahead, my brother. But we
you
do
were
have,
talking about.
I'll field the questions from the public.
Okay, you were talking about adding value to our commodities, our resources.
Yes.
In Africa, we never commodified our resources.
Yeah.
Consequently, it's something that we learned from the capitalists.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't take what we didn't need, and we live with nature. We didn't bastardize or mess up the nature because that's not our nature.
Yeah.
So coming from that kind of mindset and fitting into the education that we've imbibed, how do we plug that gap? Because we're still struggling. Based on what you're saying, we're still struggling the fact that we don't know how to value what we have.
Yeah.
Because this is not us in terms of Africans. Obviously, we're in 2025, and this is what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So we need to get up to speed.
Yeah.
But as Africans, this is not something we used to do. So how do we plug that gap?
So now plugging that gap is very, very is a very difficult task because, as you know, the first thing on my list is always going to be decolonization of the systems. Yeah. Okay. If you look at everyone that jackpot, yes, I live in the UK, right? I came here many, many years ago. But like everyone in my generation, right? We didn't plan to be here for longer than X number of years. But unfortunately, Nigeria, as you can see from the charts, was going downhill economically, and that did not allow for many Nigerians to return. Okay? But what we're finding now, and I think that happened with our father's generation as well, because when a lot of my generation were in Nigeria in the 90s, if you remember, Oladele, it was a case of, there's nothing here. Oh, you have a British passport. Oh yeah, go to London. At least it's safer. There's everything there. There are opportunities there.
You know something. Sorry, this, and this is my story.
Yes.
My father, who came to the UK in the 60s,
yes,
hated the UK so much that it took us back.
Yep.
To Nigeria.
Yep.
And when my dad passed away about 40 years ago now.
Yeah.
And while my dad was alive, my dad always said to me, "Over my dead body, are you going to come back to the UK?" That's what he said to me. He said, "There's no way you're going back." I only came back to UK when my dad passed away.
Okay, but my question is, did he tell you why?
He didn't tell me why, but now I know why.
Okay, exactly. So the parents of that generation never told their children why. Well, I'll say most of them never told their children why. Now, my father returned. We all returned. So, like you, my dad came in the 60s, left in the 70s, right? We never really discussed his time here. Even though my mom will always wonder, why did we have to leave when we left? But in some of the conversations that I had with him, we left knowing that, because they were settled at the time, they could always come back anytime. Do you understand? That's why he left. But looking at what they went through in those 60s, I can understand why your dad probably didn't want to come back. Oh, and why my dad, wanted to leave as well, because the 60s was really, really tough. I mean, we're talking no dogs, no Irish, no blacks, is what they experienced then. Thankfully, it's not the same today. But guess what? When I came back in 1991, right? If they had told me, if anyone had told me that this is what 2025 would look like in the UK and the US, and I was talking to a friend a few days ago, asking him saying the same. He said a lot. He answered that question for me. A lot of us would have gone back home, because it's almost like we're now back to where we started from in race terms in the UK. Yeah, it's almost like we're now back to where we were in 19 in the early 90s in race terms, and economically. But to answer your question, right? How do we speak to the younger generation? It's going to be very, very difficult, because that colonial mindset, the colonial mentality, has been passed on for generations. Okay, as far as they're concerned, if you tell them, oh, the UK is this way, Canada is that way, the US is that way, they'll tell you, but you are there. I want to come too. That kind of thing. Meanwhile, not realizing that you're actually sitting on gold. And the problem is that for those of us that go back, right, we need to start showing Nigerians at home that it's actually good to be at home. Okay, there's a lot that we can do from the resources we have at home, and I guess that we can only do that if we have what a lot of people like to call an enabled environment, an environment where all those inefficiencies that I listed have been removed. So there's light, there's water, there's all the basic amenities, good roads, etc., etc. Then that can begin to allow us to move forward. Because if I go back to my dad's times, our dad's times in Nigeria, they enjoyed the last of Nigeria. They actually enjoyed the last of Nigeria. I remember my dad, he joined a British firm. He was poached from Nigeria to from London rather, to Nigeria to work with a partner, a British steel partner. He was a structural engineer, right? A few years after that, he decided to set up his own structural engineering firm, doing very well. I mean, him and his partners, they were buying, brand new cars, not second-hand cars, brand new, because at that time, the exchange rate, the Nigerian exchange rate, naira to pound, the naira was stronger. And the dynamics of those times that I am finding out now, a lot of people were not happy. Some people were not happy about that. Okay, the fact that Nigerians in the 70s and 80s would earn 7,000 naira as a salary or from business, and they just fly out on the next plane to London and buy a house. I'm telling you, that's what used to happen. So think about it, that if that continued over the years, the entire UK would have been bought by Nigerians.
Can I just address that thing, because that issue is been coming up lately, right?
Yes.
This thing of, you tell our people and they're like, look at you, or what authority do you have to speak? You're in the United States, or you can say all this, you're in the United States. What do you know? So when I was told by my father to go to the embassy and get my visa, that's exactly what happened. I did not pursue coming here. I had a job, and I was dating a wealthy man that I would have ended up getting married to. Like, for certain, I would have been a wealthy wife, right?
Yeah.
If at the moment I knew that today, and not just a wealthy wife sitting on my husband, we would have used my brain, right? We would have used it to invest in other things. So we would have created wealth.
Yeah.
If I knew today what I know about the United States, everything that I know today, everything that I speak about on Kumbukeni today, I would never leave my country. Never, ever.
Yeah.
I have been discouraging my brother from leaving home, who wants to come here, for years now, at the cost of him looking at me and saying I'm stopping him from coming.
Yeah.
So here's the thing to the people who keep telling us this. This is a lion's den.
Yes.
We were sold the lie that it was an oasis, the source of all good things. That's what they tell us from there. That's what we are hearing, right? But myself, Oladele, Babajide, brother Babajide, are telling you that once we came here, we found out it was a lion's den. There's nothing
Absolutely.
but lions taking a bite from us every day.
Yeah.
And because we know that, because we have first-hand experience, we can tell you who these people are, who these people who are coming to your home are. In fact, you should listen to us more than you listen to the people at home.
Absolutely.
They don't have experience.
Yeah.
We have first-hand experience on who the devil really is. And the devil is not in the Bible. The devil is walking the earth, exploiting you and oppressing you. That's who the devil is.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you, but to add to that, right? We look at in the 2000s, right? I was a solutions architect for a top American company in the city. Okay, my title was a technical sales consultant, right? Now, the salary I was on then, right? When I look at it, the last time I decided to check, so it was about 3 years ago. So I checked that same salary in 2020, so 3 years ago. So that's 2022. I was shocked. I was shocked. I was asking myself, how can that be? Now, when you now, and I'm talking, let's say about between 45 and 55 in 2,000 pounds, yeah, and in 2022-23, you're looking at about the same grade. About the same grade. Then you look at the wider space, and you're looking at tech salaries in the 40s. That's madness. Tech salaries in the UK, if everything, goes geometrically, should be in the hundreds of thousands. Because when I look at the equivalent in the US, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. And this is not about, maybe someone online may be thinking, oh yeah, America is a big, no. It's got nothing to do with that. What I'm talking about here is salary stagnation in the UK. So the companies decide not to increase salaries, over time. Then what happens? Inflation eats it all up. Inflation eats it all up. I mean, before I even started working many, many years ago, I'm sure you can remember doing odd jobs and all. Living in a one-room apartment, I could still drive my car. I could still go to parties and clubs.
There was more money in your pocket then than now. Anyway.
Then now you can't even do that. Yeah. So to answer Dele's question, Oladele's question is like, so if you can't do that, living in a one-room apartment, you've just come from Nigeria. What are you coming to do? Or from Kenya? What are you coming to do?
And most people today
doesn't go anywhere anymore.
Most people today basically have land, they sell it. So I met some people who sold their schools. Somebody had a school. They sold the school. They basically sell everything.
Everything, yes.
And then they came here on the sponsorship visa, and the visa got revoked.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the lady, one of the ladies that I employed at work, she was basically crying at work.
Yeah.
Selling everything to come into this place. I was gonna say shithole.
Stay home. Stay home. We are coming back to join you. Stay home. Stay home. Stay home.
Yeah, I mean, look, we just need to, like I've said, take care of these inefficiencies in Africa across board. Once those inefficiencies, and they have to allow us to take care of those inefficiencies. We have to be allowed to take care of those inefficiencies.
No. Language is important, my brother. I see what you're saying. No, but we gather together. No, these minds come together so yesterday we had a gathering and there was an elder there who kept contradicting everything we said and questioning and all that. And at first you get frustrated, but later you're like, I really appreciate this person. And we said to him, in community, because they help us refine our view on things.
Yeah.
Right? When we gather together and when we have these conversations, we help each other refine. Allow means we are asking. Allow means we are asking.
Well, you know, I've got to be
Right?
diplomatic, right?
And no, fuck diplomacy. Diplomacy is killing us. Diplomacy is literally who is diplomacy? What does this diplomacy mean to me, Amukamba?
It's a white man's term.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I know.
I'm screwing you at the same time taking your stuff.
Yeah,
As if I don't come from a community of protocol bigger than theirs,
yeah.
where I know how to treat my elders and people. Like this is diplomacy, my ass. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes, and you know, saying what you just said now in terms of the protocol from your tradition. I mean, what I'm finding out about the Yoruba tradition in the last few years, it's just mind blowing.
Right?
We
It
had
is
it.
mind blowing.
We had it, bro.
Mind blowing. We are such a great nation. It is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, Yoruba is culture, it's religion, it's tribe. It's
not
you
religion.
you
It's
can't-
spirituality. It's not religion.
Yeah,
Because
a Yoruba person cannot isolate it. I mean, we've done. I mean, a Yoruba person has done it. You find a lot of Yoruba Christians, obviously, but trust me, you cannot isolate your Yoruba spirituality from yourself. You can't.
You can't. It's impossible.
It's
it
impossible.
will haunt you.
Yeah, and you know what brought it home to me. I was driving along one of these days, and somebody was trying to describe the issues that are going on in Gaza, okay, around Jews and Israelis, trying to draw that defining line. So he defined who a Jew was, right? And that revolved around the religion, okay, the religion, the culture, and it just dawned on me that that's more like the Yoruba culture. You can't dissociate, remove yourself from the Yoruba culture itself. I'm like, wow.
Which includes the
So-
spirituality.
Yeah, which includes the spirituality, which is what Jews are. So the embodiment of the culture, the spirituality, the entire thing. That's what we are as Yorubas. And I'm sure that's the same thing with Igbos. That's the same thing. That's how we arrange ourselves as Africans.
So imagine, my brother, if I asked you, who are you? Who are your people? You
As
told
an
me
African.
I am a Yoruba man from the Yoruba nation instead of I'm Nigerian. Imagine how much more depth that has in who you are.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. It is deep, very, very deep. And yeah, I think there are a lot of what I've observed. I'm not sure if Oladele has. I've observed that on Instagram there are now a lot of men and women pushing the Yoruba culture on Instagram, which is
I've observed it because I'm there all the time
satisfying.
anyway. So yeah,
Very,
there's a
very
lot going on.
satisfying.
And let's get this straight. You identifying as Yoruba does not mean that you detach yourself from me, who's a Kamba.
Oh, of course.
No.
Oh, of course.
Your standing by your Yoruba-ness is to take all the culture and embrace it and bring it out in who you are.
Yeah,
Not to
absolutely.
separate yourself. And then connect with your Kamba sister, me and my
And
brother,
Yes.
and see how who she is, their Kamba people can work together.
And that is exactly how the African makeup should be. Look, and Nigeria exemplifies that. Think about it. We have the Yoruba culture. I mean, every year now we have this Ojude Oba festival. Yeah. In the north, they have the Agungun fishing festival. In the east, they have the Yam festivals. I mean, look at that. Has anybody valued those festivals? If we want to go back to valuation?
And let me say something, because my other interest is to connect us with our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. And by that, I mean the descendants of the enslaved Africans, the Africans who were stolen from our land.
Yes.
They brought that culture with them.
Yes.
When you say that as a Yoruba person, as an Igbo person, as an Akamba person, you cannot get rid of that, That is seen in our brothers and sisters who were taken away from home. All kinds of tools were used to detach them, and they still were not detached.
Yes. Yes.
If you go to those who have stuck firm in who they are, you will find them practicing these rituals.
Oh yes. I mean, Brazil.
I travel
Cuba.
I started last year, right? But every year in Philadelphia is Odunde.
Odunde, yeah, that's the Yoruba festival.
Every year in Philadelphia, every year in Coney Island in New York, they go to the waters and they observe these rituals.
No, they
may not do it perfectly, but they're still reconnecting with who they are.
The awakening is on. That's the truth. It's happening across the world. I mean, let me tell you one thing that surprised me. And I'm not sure if you've made that observation. Do you know that in our generation growing up, right, our preference for music was Western music? Okay? You were even kind of like, maybe a little bit reserved when you want to play some Akbala music or Fuji music. That was one of those staunch, now revered music. Yeah, I mean,
not just Western music, country Western music.
Well, I didn't even listen to country. I mean, in Nigeria, I don't think that many people listen to country. I mean, they did a bit of Jim Reeves. Our parents did a little of Jim Reeves.
Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton.
Yeah, Dolly Parton.
My dad listened to all that.
You too?
Yeah. My dad, I heard that when I was a kid.
Yes. So, but fast forward to the last few years with our children. Oh my goodness. Do you know that you don't even have to move them? You don't have to tell them. They just gravitate towards the culture automatically. I find that very, very spiritual.
Oh yeah, I see that in my kids.
Yeah. All of them.
My kids.
Even the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings, they want to go to Nigeria. They want to partake in what's happening in Nigeria. It's just crazy.
And so, brother, imagine if the African music industry, first of all, they remain African. They stop taking on these chains they're wearing that are Western, like the worst of the Western culture they're taking on and using the F word and the N word. And like, if, right, the entertainment industry connected with us revolutionaries and together we organized, imagine the power in that.
Oh, it's immense. Immense. And let me tell you what's happening that a lot of people are not realizing. You see, I mentioned something earlier about how majority of African economies have become almost like what I like to call 20%ers. Okay, what do I mean by that? So you become a face for an international company and they pay you 20%, right? So you sell their products locally, they pay you 20%. So what I'm observing now is that these artists are becoming successful, right? And they are kind of
sold out.
Yes, they're
they're sold out. They're basically the West controls the music in Nigeria right now. So they're sold out.
So now they're bringing them into their labels.
Yeah, but they've been strategically positioning themselves for this a long time ago. This is not, they just, bro, they're already in there. Come on, that's what it is.
So I didn't know that they probably would have been strategically positioning themselves.
Yeah, they've been positioning the Sunny music and all that coming into Africa a long time ago.
Yeah, so if they do that, then they're doing Africa a disservice, because there's one of the musicians, I won't mention his name for the moment. He's recently engaged with one of the music producers out in the West.
And
I'm hearing that he's now trying to change his style of music. The day I heard, I'm like, what? Bro,
you're trying to be politically. This has been happening for a long time. This is not new. They've been doing this. That's why the African infiltration is in the West, because these guys they saw what we didn't see. People like Don Jazzy has been collaborating with these guys for a long time. This has been happening for a while.
Oh my God!
I've been talking to people in the music industry. They're sold out. That's why they can afford. They get so much money that they can't know what to do with it.
That's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for the economy.
It's happening already.
what it means, and that's why a lot of people, not a lot of people now, people are thinking, oh, we're going to hit $1 trillion economy. If this is happening, you can't.
It's
You can't,
happening already.
that money is going to go to the US.
But
Everybody's
that's
pandering
what's
to
going on.
Grammy Awards,
It is.
US awards and all that, and you don't have your local awards. Then what's the point?
That's what's going on. Basically, the music industry in Nigeria and Africa sold out to the West. Basically, all the big record companies are basically in collaboration with all these. It's happening. So we basically don't own anything anymore.
So
okay.
let me
okay, please.
As you speak on this, and then I'll bring up something that I want you to go back to speak on.
Yes.
But as you speak on this, because again, it is good that our conversations are organic and everything is connected. This morning, I looked at my Instagram and there's this woman who prepares food half naked. In other words, her dress is cut all the way here, her boobs are almost out. And this is how she's preparing food. And this is a trend, a Black woman, beautiful, dark skin, oiled, but this is it. Like I'm a little naked while preparing my food, right? And this goes back to what we're talking about, the influence or the succumbing to Western culture.
The perversion.
Yeah. And I have been told, like, dress like this, you'll have more views and all that. And this is what we are going for. But we have become so dumb that we continue aligning with that instead of saying, I refuse to be sexualized. As an African woman. And I hope more African women will join me in that. That woman needs to rethink. Watch me for the value I give in knowledge that I'm sharing, not for how my body looks. Why would you like?
It's crazy, and it still goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Value. If you know the value of who you are in Africa, in Nigeria, right, then all these tax inefficiencies that I've listed will count for nothing, because you'll then be getting that value at home. That's what we don't realize. And I see it every day. And I keep on asking myself, okay, how do you get this message out? How do you get it out when even the people that are in leadership in the country, in everything that they do, they're deferring to their Western, and there's nothing wrong with that. Look,
no, there's absolutely everything.
Bear me one second. I want everybody watching this thing to understand that this is not a Black versus white thing, or West versus Nigeria thing, or West versus Africa thing. No, let me tell you what it is. Whilst I'm in the UK here, an Englishman has the freedom to say and do whatever he wants, whatever he likes. If he doesn't like Nigeria, he comes on TV, he says he doesn't like Nigeria, right? A Nigerian in Nigeria must be able to have that freedom to do and say the same thing. But right now, it doesn't seem like we have that freedom to do it, especially when it comes to, I don't want to upset the status quo. What are they going to say? I want to go and get a visa. I said this on Twitter. Do you understand? So why is it that one person can say one thing and the other person cannot?
I'm glad you said that. And I was going to jump in and refute it at first, but you gave me, and again, the importance of us sitting together and listening to each other. You gave me a different direction to take it. In some of my reading that I'm doing now, for this gentleman is called Sheloane Kittle. C. Sheloane Kittle. And he's a South African brother, an ancestor now, who wrote about an Afrocentric education system. But his thing is, we can't, like, if we're going to create it, we can't even look at things comparing it to Western. Like, you can't even say, let's build a car like they build in the United States. You can't even say,
I like that.
Right? You can't.
I've got something to say about the car, so remind
right?
me. Go on. Yeah.
You can't even say, like what we were just saying now. You can't even say, oh, they do this, like what you were saying, brother. They do this in the UK. Why can't we do it here, right? We have to completely take them, but for purposes of building, do not take them out of your mind, because they exist.
Yeah.
We have to learn them. But while we are building Afrocentric, African culture futures,
Yeah.
we have to take them out of our mind.
Yes. And yeah, go on.
Your grounding should be, how are Africans going to survive moving forward?
Community.
Yes.
How
Yeah. How
sustain health?
I think that's
Community.
a very
Community.
it's community. Yes, it's a very
Community.
simple answer. Community. But let me tell you one other thing. There's something that our parents didn't do when they went back that we need to do, which is when they went back, right? They dissociated themselves from.
I better pass my neighbor.
Yes, so they dissociated themselves from the village. Yeah?
Yeah, of course. The westernized now.
Now, meanwhile, what they should have done was to engage with the village to the point where the village starts to realize that, hang on a minute, I mean, we didn't need to, if we were doing rituals to celebrate a tradition before, we don't really need to do the rituals. We can just find maybe I'm just pulling this from the air now, an orange to symbolize that sacrifice that we used to do hundreds of years ago. It's end of story because it doesn't amount to anything, right? That would have happened. That change would have happened over time. But because they didn't engage with the village at all, I'm telling you, all the people that came to the UK, all the Nigerians that came to the and went back, a lot of them never engaged with the village.
But Babajide
has some of these backward views that still makes people like us still run away from the village. I mean, I'm not me now. People from my generation run away from.
But you know what we're doing now, bro? Yeah, you know what I'm doing? I'm talking to you. Me personally, I'm going to the village.
Yes. Yeah, but I'm
going to the village. I don't even want to stay in the city.
But you're even doing this, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that even when I'm back home, I don't want to be in the city. I don't want to be in the concentration camps that the West said we need to have.
Yeah.
We need to go back to the village, engage with the villagers.
Yes.
Basically, that's the grassroots of building.
Yeah, but let me tell you, see, you don't even need to say it that way. So by virtue of my job, okay, I've traveled the length and breadth of the country. And I used to take it upon myself to say, if I'm going to go and work in the north of England, I would drive, right? And when I drive, I end up driving sometimes through the villages.
Mm.
And I'm telling you, what you see in those villages is just mind-blowing.
Of course, that's where the wealth is.
And what you also find is that majority of the guys that tend to work in the city, I won't say majority, a lot of the guys that work in the city,
they go back.
They come from they commute from their village residences. The villages are thriving places with affluent families, then you also get an insight.
That's life.
Into hold on, not just the life, but how the UK got to that point over time. You can see you can see the history when you visit those villages. Right? Then I then look back at my village and people are thinking, oh, what am I going to do there? I mean, that's an asset, an invaluable, priceless asset that we don't know, which is why I'm saying that we still don't know how to value.
Well, we will, my brother. Me and you have work to do anyway. So
yes.
we are Kingsmen. So we got work to do.
Why are you limiting to the two of you? We all have
No. We're Kingsmen because my mother's from the same place that he's from as well. So we're from the basically.
But your Kingsmen can work with my Kingsmen. And
we're already doing that anyway. Don't worry about it.
We've got a lot of work on our hands. Yeah.
Don't worry. We're not limiting it.
Yeah. So going back to the core of this presentation, right? You can see those figures there. Nigeria needs to overcome a 22 billion deficit, inefficiency deficit, before they should even start thinking of taxing Nigerians. This is the core thing.
But that's a conversation for another day. And I actually, myself with Oladele can give you like some direction on how we can do that, like for the data to collect for the next presentation.
Yes. So
understanding how how we get the inefficiencies. What
Yes.
causes the inefficiencies should be the next
I think
topic.
that'll be a good one.
And that's what I was going to go into, to say we need to leverage on this data for the next presentation.
Perfect.
Absolutely, we're gonna do
That's
it.
what I was
So
gonna say.
you've invited yourself, bro.
Yeah. No, we're gonna use you. We need more data analysts, please.
Yeah.
Data analysts who are not just.
And I agree. This is what we're lacking, because we in that time, this guy, Shegun Adebayo, the guy who was fighting the GMO thing, and this is what he said on our presentation. You hear what he said? He said we lack policy advisors. We have policy creators in Nigeria. We haven't got them. They go to these meetings and they haven't got a clue.
Yes.
So they get bamboozled into signing what they shouldn't be signing.
Let's be very clear on what we're talking about. We don't need just policy advisors. We need Afrocentric policy advisors.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Centered in our culture and our way and our well-being. Not seeing things through the white man's lens or the Chinese man's lens or the Singaporean man's lens. The one thing, as you speak, brother, you were going to say something, but from me, I would like you to go back to, is you mentioned towards the end, Nigeria's economy is 97% informal and 3% formal. And then I go back to the taxation, 3% is taxed less and 97% is taxed more. So what we are saying is Nigeria's economy, the source of Nigeria's well-being is overtaxed. So you have no chance.
There's no chance. There's no hope.
Okay, just to round it up, because we're coming to 2 hours now. If we want to round that up, and then we answer your question.
Yes. Okay. So I think if we go back to the previous slide, so the one with the red boxes, because I think that's where the core of my presentation lies, in these metrics. Nigeria needs to take these numbers, considering that I haven't added a lot of other indices, i.e., losses from the devaluation of the currency, untaxed revenues from multinationals, etc., etc. Debt repayment, right? All those measures are not in this number. So by the time we look at the loss from inefficiencies, like I mentioned earlier, we're looking at 100 trillion, right? 100 trillion. Then whatever tax that you intend to raise, by the time you do the numbers, they must tend towards zero, not minus 22 billion.
Hold on, my brother. I mean, oh my goodness. Oladele.
Yeah.
That is such a big slip. Oh my God. Oh my God. That. All right. Let me let it go.
Tell me. Sorry.
Go on.
Here's the thing. The United States has a deficit of trillions.
Yes.
And they've never been able to catch up with it.
Okay. I will give you an answer on that. Do you want me to answer
Why would we think we'll ever catch up?
Okay, so let me tell you. Well, can we catch up?
Never.
Think about the generation of revenue that the United States has, right?
Yes.
Constantly generating, stealing from us, and all that. And by the way, this is not like. This is being used to juxtapose for another reason, because I just came from saying we cannot look at things from the Mzungu's way of being. I'm just trying to make, like, I'm giving us reality.
Okay,
the United States has had trillions, and yet they generate heavy revenue, and they've not been able to balance their debt.
Yeah. So let me tell you. There's a. I think it's Mr. Wolf. I can't remember his first name now.
Richard Wolf. Richard Wolf.
I love him. I think he said something along the lines of, they can issue debt. Yeah. Whose currency is the debt in?
The dollar.
It's in their currency. So imagine, I once told someone on LinkedIn, when he was celebrating the fact that Nigeria's Bank of Industry was given, I think, a $1 billion loan.
Stupid.
So I said to myself, I said to him that, they gave Bank of Industry a $1 billion loan. Okay, so it means like, so the US just printed $1 billion, and they're going to charge you, I don't know what the percentage interest is, but let's just say, for argument's sake, they'll charge you 20% for that, right? On money they just printed. Oh, wow, that is interesting. Then you then take that loan and apply that loan to local issues. Hear me correctly. You're not using it to buy foreign equipment and bringing it into the country. You would use it to buy maybe a bit of foreign equipment, then bring the rest, convert it to Naira, and use it locally. How are you going to get away from that? You'll be more indebted in the end, because the dollar element that you've converted is going to be worthless in a few years' time when your currency is further devalued. So you'll never be able to get out of that debt cycle. To answer your question, you'll never be able. You'll be perpetually in debt, especially with things like this figure that I've put on the screen here. Perpetually. Do you think? Look at America. They're perpetually in debt, but they haven't gone bankrupt, right? Because why? They're the ones printing the money.
Yeah. And sadly, we are using their money as our benchmark
as the currency of choice. But guess what? Please, I want to say this. I don't want to forget. You mentioned China earlier. China is the smartest country on the planet. I'm telling you. I've looked at their numbers. America knows it. The rest of the world knows it. China is the smartest country on the planet. And I will say it any day, anytime.
Smartest capitalist.
And I'm smartest capitalist, not just capitalist. Remember, this African economic system that I talk about, let's call the Chinese one Chinese economic system. It's a system that they've developed, and they've monitored it against the Western systems, and they've perfected it. And let me tell you one thing I've picked up from it in the relationship with Africa. So Africa wants to build a skyscraper, right? And they get the engineers to do a bill of quantities for that skyscraper. Okay, we're going to get the windows from here, the sand from there, etc., etc. And we discover that it's going to cost, let's say, $1 billion to build that skyscraper, right? By the time you do the conversion. But when we amortize the bill of quantities, we find out that 60% of the materials that are going to be used to build that 1 billion facility is going to come from the local environment. Okay? So which means if we do percentages, that you don't actually need the whole $1 billion, right? You need just the international or the dollar element of that money for that loan, correct? You can create a local bond to fund the rest of that skyscraper, can't you?
Yeah.
But guess what our African brothers will do? They collect the entire 1 billion, convert it to the local currency, and be paying back that loan.
Yeah.
The Chinese in the early days, they will bring in their staff, right? And guess what? This is just my assumption based on what I've read, that majority of their staff, imagine that you have thousands of Chinese across Africa working. Meanwhile, they're getting paid in yuan back home. So that $1 billion, the salaries don't come out of it. It's in yuan. So the dollar element that goes into the Chinese government's pocket is pure what? Profit. Pure profit. I mean, they are so damn smart, and there's so many other things I can look at, but that's going to be for, another.
And this is basically, and I agree with you, my brother. And this is basically where we Africans need to basically be Afrocentric in our solutions.
That's
look.
Simply put.
Yeah, be Afrocentric. Look at what works. Look at other people and see what they're doing, and find what works for you.
Yeah.
Have an advantage. Have a leverage.
Yeah.
But guess what's coming for China?
What?
They're not smart after all. because they took on a foreign way of doing economy, capitalism. It will take them down. It will take them down. I'm saying that to you. It will take them down right now because of capitalism. Let me explain why I say that, and then you can come in, brother. Right now, because of capitalism, they are heavily reliant on Africa.
Yeah.
When Africa rises and decides to operate from a point of power, China will have to come to a reckoning.
Yeah.
Their market, their heaviest source of market and resources is Africa.
Yeah.
When we shut that down, they will come tumbling down.
Okay, so let me, can I just come in there for a second? So for me, if I were at the forefront of that relationship, I won't shut China down. I'll renegotiate it. I will renegotiate the deal.
Agree.
And China as a nation is open to that, but we don't put it forward to them. Look, I've been in Nigeria. So hear this, right? In 2011, yeah, I was in Abuja at a friend's, right? And some Chinese guys came to see him because they were looking for government contracts from this gentleman because he had some contacts, right? And they were ready to do business the Nigerian way. Are you understanding me? They go down to the basics of, okay, if this is how things work in Nigeria, this is how we're going to play it. I was there. Okay, so I know that the Chinese, I've seen a lot of the foreign minister's speeches, on TV. I've heard him, and I can feel the way they position themselves against everybody else. And that is good for us because they are ready to meet us, provided we wake up. Yeah. We need to wake up. I mean, at some point I heard that they will come to Nigeria. Yeah, and they will say the sand. This is the rare earth minerals now. The rare earth minerals are pure sand, but they're very, very valuable. They take it wholly, put it in ships, and ship it out.
Yeah,
that's what they do. But why can't someone say, hang on a minute? And I'm sure the minister of mines of Nigeria, I'm hoping that he's doing that, will bring them to the table and say, look, we need to renegotiate this whole deal. If he doesn't do that, then he'll be doing his country a disservice.
But this is what official Nigerian governments are doing. They're basically after crumbs. They ignore everything, and they let all these foreign entities do what they like. Because otherwise, we won't be here where we are today.
Yes. I mean,
Tinubu, basically it.
I don't know what Tinubu is doing aside from
he's doing nothing.
The tax reform that we're looking at now. I mean, for me, that's a complete.
My brother, you've mentioned it. The stooges for the hegemonic powers. They're basically doing the bidding of the West against Nigeria's interests.
This is what Tinubu is doing. Tinubu is holding the door to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Like
and he has it wide open for exploiters to come in.
Yes.
And while he's holding the door, when a fellow Nigerian comes to the door, the gate, the door, the window, and says, Tinubu, why are you not closing that door? We have a lot of riffraff coming to exploiters. His job is to shoot them and get them out of the way.
Yeah.
That's what Tinubu is doing.
Now that you've said this, you've given me an opportunity to say what I've always wanted to say publicly for the record. Now, I've been going to Nigeria over the years to try and do one or two things or a few things with either the banking sector or the government sector or whatever. But it wasn't until when Tinubu released his budget, that I realized that, I've been monitoring the Nigerian budget for a very long time, right? But it wasn't until Tinubu released his budget that I realized that anybody that wants to go and do or look for any business or has an opportunity they want to offer to the government in Nigeria, the first thing they need to do is look at the budget. Because number one, the Nigerian budget is under budgeted. Do you know why it's under budgeted? It's under budgeted because they will think, if we say it's 100 trillion, they will say, it's too much, it's too this. Do you know? Let me just give you an example, and maybe this we should, set this up for another presentation. Let me just give you this example. The Nigerian federal government workforce, hear me correctly, the Nigerian federal government, and let me even add the state government workforce alone, if they all have, like the UK and the United States, all have one computer per seat. Hear what I'm about to say carefully. If they all have one computer per seat, and you multiply that by the license fee for a Microsoft seat, I can guarantee you that annually it will be a huge amount, or a huge percentage rather of the budget. Now, I haven't started adding licenses for servers that they're going to connect to, among so many other software that will sit on those systems. So if you take it from that perspective alone, that budget that I put in this presentation is small, very, very small, because it does not allow for entrepreneurship. If Tinubu wants to move this economy forward, he should be pledging every day, I want to be able to create 100 millionaires this year. Over the next 5 years, 1,000 millionaires. That's what, as in actively. And you must be ready to say, okay, if we want to create 1,000, if like 100 of them go bankrupt and 900 survive, okay, we've done well. That's the kind of economy he needs to create. That's the kind of economy he needs to create. So I mean, I love Nigeria. The potential is great, but we need to make sure we, number one, take care of the inefficiencies in the system, and try as much as possible to galvanize the entrepreneurs, which somehow they're doing. But majority of the entrepreneurs that are coming to the limelight at the moment are being sponsored by or being funded out of Silicon Valley. Yeah, I always say Dangote, of Tedola, Adenuga, all of them. Yeah, some people listening to this may say, oh, they help some people in the background. No, that's not what we're talking about. We want to see visibility. How many startups has Adenuga, funded? How many startups has Otedola funded? These are the guys that are meant to be powering the economy. When I was starting,
they're keeping it to themselves.
They're keeping it to themselves. Oh, but think about this. When I started out on the internet in the mid to late 90s, same time as Elon Musk, all of them, now they've become billionaires, where we couldn't really thrive in that economy because of funding.
They had funding.
Yeah, but they had funding, right?
Yeah.
But fast forward to 26, I think it was this whole fintech thing for Nigeria and Kenya started in, I think, circa 2010, between 2010 and 2016. All the guys that started out in the late 90s are the ones now funding startups in Africa.
It started with Obama.
Yes,
Obama.
2008. Yeah. So you can see that if you don't empower your own citizens deliberately, Obasanjo was the one that empowered Otedola and the likes of them, because he said
Dangote, I know Dangote were empowered.
He wanted to deliberately create oligarchs. Okay, you've created the oligarchs. We need to now create the young billionaires or the young millionaires. I mean, I'm, of a certain age now, so I'm not even a particular anymore. I'm more concerned about our children's generation for Africa.
We actually should go away from that thinking, my brother. And again, we have so much work to do. Sometimes I just let things slide because the conversation is so deep we can't even get there.
Yes.
But you definitely have to come back for us part 2 of this, and we will be focusing on the insufficiencies and the cause of that, which will allow you to speak on this.
Yes.
But we should all stop seeking future millionaires and billionaires in our people, because that means we're endorsing exploitation. We don't want that.
No. So
we should all, but I'll let you clarify, brother. We should all be seeking future communally grounded people. That's the way forward. We
community empowerment.
Community.
Yes.
Building with the community, building the
Yes.
roots in a communal way. I'm not talking about communism. I'm not talking about socialism. I do not embrace anything brought to us by a foreigner. We have our ways. There's no need to look outside.
Yes.
The future is not billionaires or millionaires or what's their name again?
Billionaires.
Earn your leisure, as if you leisure is not given to us by nature and it is there.
Exactly. So let me clarify. Okay. Now I use the term billionaires, trillionaires loosely because that's what people understand. Okay. So what I'm actually saying is that the government, in the current dynamics that we have, it's what China has done. Think about it, right? Jack Ma, when was the last time you heard from him?
You hardly hear from him.
The last time I heard, China was checking him about thinking he can go monopoly.
Exactly. So that is what I'm saying. It still revolves around my theory of African economic system. We do it our way, but it has to be deliberate. You have to bring in the smart heads to say, oh, that guy started this company. Okay, we want him to come and take care of the healthcare sector of the government. That's what the UK does. I've done a lot of my work in the National Health Service in the UK. But what do we do as we go into the new financial year? We want to know the budget that's coming to the healthcare service. So our directors, we do this budget round, so we know, okay, we can get some of this work done now because government has allocated funds to it. In Nigeria, there's nothing like that.
It should actually be mandatory like it is in China. Any business making beyond this amount, that amount comes back to social services in the government, in the nation. That's how China is. That's how Jack Ma was checked.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like I've said, develop your own system.
Yes.
Develop your own system. Do not use, even Yoruba say, Mafi Owal and Mafia Agwala Goshishe.
Yeah.
Don't use somebody else's clock. Use your own.
That's another topic. Oladile, we have to wrap it up.
Okay.
No, I'm not even joking.
It's almost 1.5 hours, bro. We've been having too much fun.
Too much fun, man. Too much fun.
Just to round this up, thanks for coming on. But as is our tradition on this podcast, we normally ask question because the last guest left a question for you.
Wow.
And we need a question for you for the next guest.
Okay.
So the question that the last guest left for you to answer is, how might we live, love, and build again?
Build together.
Not from control, but from care. So how might we live, love, and build together? Not from control, but from care.
Wow, that's a deep question. How might we live? How might we
love and build together? Not from control, but from care.
Love and build together. Yeah, and not from
control, but from care.
Okay, not from control, from care. Okay, yeah, I think I get an idea of what the question is now. Wow, where do I start? How might we live together? I think, like you said earlier, you mentioned Ubuntu. I mean, from what I know of Ubuntu, is community driven. I mentioned the Yoruba community earlier, even though when colonization came to us, it disrupted a lot of things. Yeah. If we can go back to that, get things back into the community. I mean, I heard today, and this is really key actually to this question, just today I heard on the news, Nigerian news that the king, if I can put it, the Alaafin of Oyo and I think the Oni of Ife are coming together to see how they can work together to build the Yoruba community, rather than always having
going to parties
and having all these altercations that they have. So I think the one of the ways we can do that is continued collaboration with a focus on that African economic system, because anything else involves control.
Yeah.
Anything else you try to do involves control, and that means control of what you can say or cannot say, because a lot of people will probably want to come out and say one or two things, but they can't say it because they don't want to lose their jobs, etc. That involves control. But if we're going to implement a fresh system, it has to be community driven, Ubuntu like, and with that focus on building that one African or Nigerian economic system.
Oladele, quickly, just to expound on that, can I ask Brother Babajide, why did you do this? We did not pay you, and I'm certain you're not getting paid to do this data collection and assembly and presentation. Why did you do it?
Because I have a passion for data. Okay, my background is very, very deep in data, in technology. I love technology, and I love my work. Okay, my work revolved, like I said, around healthcare data, and I'm telling you, I haven't even begun to scratch the surface of healthcare data, even for where the UK is concerned. I mean, I'm talking cancer data. I'm talking, and these are publicly available data. This is not data that I go into the hospital and get. The United Kingdom publishes healthcare data onto the internet freely. They just put it out there. Even whilst I'm engaged with some hospitals or NHS organizations, we access that data and use it for reporting to the British government. That's the level of reporting that I do. So I'm very, very passionate about the data. So this repository that you see, like I said, people can go to the portal that I've put out there, macro.dataconomist.com. The first cut of a lot of data. I've hidden a lot of pages from that particular report, because there's still, as Dele knows, there's still a lot to come. So I do this in my spare time. I'm very passionate about it. It's World Bank data, even though I don't like them. It's the repository that everybody, I won't say I don't like them. I'm not in favor of their
practices.
The practices they have on the African countries. But hey, they collate the data, and I gladly go there and download the data, and I actually model the data to be able to report this on my own time. I'm very, very passionate about it. And there's one project that we will talk about over the coming months that Daily knows I'm working on, that will allow African countries, similar to this, very, very similar to this. It's going to include this data that would give you a measure of the performance of your country.
Thank you.
You look at that number, and you can tell where your country is going. So that's the level to which I'm
Thank you. Yeah. Remember to be grounded in Afrocentricity. Remember to be grounded in but also as you do the medical one, could you juxtapose it to food?
Oh yes.
Please.
Oh yes.
Juxtapose it to
I can.
Food. And when they started introducing pesticides, like the difference between when they grew food naturally and now, how it relates to that, please.
Yes. Let me tell you another one that I've sort of touched on. COVID. Yeah, COVID. There's some interesting statistics out of that.
I'm not surprised, bro.
We look forward to having you back.
I'm looking forward to it because I knew this.
We'll leave that.
I knew this come when it started anyway. Because
May our creator, creatress, our ancestors preserve you so that you can do this work.
Thank you.
Please,
Thank you. Thank you.
The other thing, my brother, teach the young ones so that they can continue, because we have to ensure it is sustained. So I give you that assignment, a call to action. As you work, bring in young people to mentor and teach so that they carry on the work. Brother,
I will. Thank you.
You have a task.
Yes.
Bro, can we have a question for you for our next guest, please?
Oh my goodness. Okay. And let's see. So how would you? Sorry, let me just draft this out.
Take your time, brother. Just take your time.
And Nduku, the next one, guess what we're going to be talking about?
What?
Ifa.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we are moving.
Yeah, we go into African spirituality. We're going to Ifa. Yeah.
We're moving with guidance. I look
at
that one.
I got the question.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, go on.
How would you prepare the next African generation to value themselves more?
Wow. Generation to value themselves more. Brilliant. That would be great. Absolutely fantastic.
Quickly, Oladele, before you go, let me let people know.
Yeah.
Kumbukeni is providing Kiubuntu classes, Swahili classes. Just go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Kumbukeni. I will pull up the link real quick. Register for one of the tiers. It is your opportunity to learn our language of unity. So just go there and do that. I'll pull up the website.
And also, my brother, Babajide Ojejinmi, thank you for coming on the podcast. Can you just let people know where they can reach out to you? What's your social media handles, email address, contacts, please?
Okay, yes. So thank you very much for having me, Oladele Dosumu and Nduku. My email address is me@babajideojejimi.com or babajide.ojejimi@recitium.com. So Recitium spelled RECEIPTIUM.com. My social media handles for Twitter and Instagram are the Diasporan and the Dataconomist. And on Twitter, I think I also have at BO_OJE. So those are my contact details.
Okay, thank you very much.
So thank you very much.
Did you get that, Ndugu?
No, say the website one more time because I went to look for it. It didn't come up.
macro.dataconomist.com.
Macro.
So macroeconomic. So just macro.dataconomist.
No E.
No E. No. Macro.dataconomist.
Give me 1 minute to put
Data economist.
Yes, Dataconomist.
Give me 1 minute.
Make sure it comes up before we drop off, please.
Yes. Is it micro or macro?
Macro.
Dot
Dataconomist. Dataconomist.
Dataconomist.
I would get the website.
Macro.dataconomist without, there's no S.
There's no S, no.
Okay.
There's no S in economist?
Economist. No. At the end. There's no S at the end. Macro.dataconomist.com.
Okay.
Oladele, did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. Give me, it's coming up now. Yeah. There you go. Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
All right. Share it, Oladele,
on
the screen.
Okay. Also, the diasporan.
Oh, no.
Dataconomist.
Sorry. 1 second. Not www. It's just macro dot.
Oh, macro dots. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it. And by the way, for those of you who have certain systems, you're being cautioned that it's a dangerous website. Sometimes avoid that.
Oh, yeah. It's fine though. Yeah, we'll sort that out.
No, this is what the systems do to keep us from sharing. The same reason why Google will take my email to your spam.
We'll do a topic on that, actually.
Thank you.
We'll discuss a topic on that.
Okay. All right. Thanks, my brother. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you very much.
Guys,
thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome.
Keep up the great work. And
thank you.
Look forward to speaking to you or joining you guys, soon.
Yeah,
you have lived up to your Yoruba culture. You cooked a delicious meal and it filled us up.
Thank you.
And guys, we bring all these our guests on here, and you know why we do this, for you to understand the intricacies and the complexities of how the world is messed up, how we as Africans need to own our space and do for ourselves based on an Afrocentric situation solution, Ubuntu.
Yeah,
we cannot use what they've used to keep us down to build ourselves up. Ain't gonna work, and it's not working. That's why we are where we are. Yeah. So guys, let's be our own solutions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Ubuntu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.